any of the objects that are useful and decorative and made completely by hand or by using only simple tools. It applies to a wide range of creative and design activities that are related to making things with one's hands and skill, including work with textiles, moldable and rigid materials like paper, plant fiber, clay, and metals. Usually the term is applied to traditional techniques of creating items, whether for personal use or as products that are both practical and beautiful. Handicrafts have their roots in the rural crafts that produced the necessary items for ancient civilizations, and some have been practiced for centuries. Many craftsmen use natural materials. Items made by machines are not handicrafts. Handicrafts have cultural values and can be learned with patience and developing certain skills. Pottery is among the oldest crafts known to the world. This craft started in Lebanon 8,000 years before Christ. The Lebanese could develop it due to their skills and the abundance of the materials in Lebanon. Pottery is famous in many villages in Lebanon, like Rashay al-Fukhar in the south, Hayt al-Fukhar in West Bekaa, Beit Shabab in Al-Matan area, and some villages in the Shuf area. This documentary is filmed in a village called Asya in Batroun. The interviewed lady discusses how she and her family make good income from making pots in a very traditional way, using all natural resources. She adds that she learned it and she teaches it to her daughters-in-law and grandchildren. Thus, she keeps the family together in their village and preserves the Lebanese heritage. The lady tells the interviewer how visitors are very proud of her and how she feels very proud when they compliment her and tell her that she is preserving our culture and our heritage. Enjoy watching the process of making this traditional craft. The family are very proud that they work together on making this craft, which has become a way of life for them, a way of keeping them together, using very primitive ways, actually only their hands and materials from nature, to preserve culture and heritage. Now, let's move to something new about pottery.
When I had more time on my hands and I could actually learn it. But every time I saw somebody working in pottery, I would really feel that emotional connection. And once I started, there's no stopping, I think. Nathalie Hayat and Nevin Salha and Samar Mgherber, who are master potters but with a technique that is more occidental. 100 degrees Celsius. However, with the new important techniques that are learned today, we can go up to temperatures that are up to 1200, 1250, which becomes more of a stoneware. And we also have this technique in Kirzay. We could apply it in Kirzay. Nice to interact as a potter. And what I like most about potters in general, potters are very generous people. They exchange and they give everything they have and they love to share. This is usually not found in art circles where people are more individualistic and work more on hiding what they're doing, like keeping it to themselves. In pottery, you share, you interact, you learn, you teach, you give everything you have, and everyone still develops their own.
Another traditional craft in Lebanon is glass blowing. This craft has great value in recycling glass. One of the workers in the family business says, glass blowing started in Sarafand during the Phoenician era. It was learned generation to generation. My grandfather started, then he taught my father, who taught my uncles and my brothers and cousins. This is a tough skill to learn. You start when you are 12 and you need at least 5 years of apprenticeship to start blowing glass. The healthy thing we are doing is to recycle glass. Another productive craft is knitting. In this center, started by an initiative called Sadana in Wadi Khalid in North Lebanon, a group of ladies from poor Lebanese families and displaced Syrian families are taught hand knitting and crochet. The ladies are so excited for they can provide more income and become self-sufficient rather than wait for food and money from international projects. Crafts are facing a lot of problems. There were many craft shops that closed in Saida, and some are about to close if they are not getting support soon, says this carpenter. The original use of most crafts has changed, and this adds to the problems facing craftsmen these days. And to have a craftsman change his idea about a craft's use is merely hard or impossible. For example, to convince a craftsman to make little decorative baskets like these ones, for example, will be impossible because to that craftsman, an item like a basket in this case is made to carry crops and it has special dimensions. So to ask him to make one that's big for storing, like this one for example, will be nearly impossible. Now the same applies to other items also. For example, copper items that were primarily used for cooking and everyday chores are not used anymore. On the contrary, we use them for decoration or for displaying items like these ones. So to convince a craftsman to make a dish that is 20 by 80 centimeter dimensions would be impossible because he believes a dish or a plate is something we need to use while eating, and this would be really and useless. Now it is true that crafts are facing many problems. However, there are solutions. One of the solutions is advertising the products. This is very important to make clear and known what the crafts are like and how they are done and the purpose behind making them. And the number one thing is the government should help those craftsmen in order to live as self-sufficient people. This way they would preserve our traditions and they would preserve the heritage of Lebanon. In this video, we see this craftsman, a basket weaver, who says he's very happy in what he's doing, and he does it in the best way possible. He also encourages other craftsmen to have apprentices, that is, people who learn the skill. He says that he teaches it to his children because without someone to learn the craft, it would die the moment the last craftsman dies. Another way to solve the problems that the craftsmen are facing is through government loans, bank loans. As this video shows, I'd leave you with the subtitles to read them and see how this 27-year-old young man is trying to preserve the craft of making pots that he learned from his father, and how he is really happy with what he's doing and hopes that the future is going to be really successful for him if he gets enough support and loans.